Patrick, what exactly does this change in healthcare law, should it come to pass, actually mean for your business?
Well, we're just starting to read through that along with everybody else. So we're kind of digesting the implications for our business. But I think the filter that we put really every policy through is employed people are going to buy more pizza than unemployed people. And so we always look at these things and say, look, is this going to help the employment picture in the U.S. or is it not? And when you go through with a new administration, there's always going to be some change. There's going to be a little bit of uncertainty. I would tell you that our emphasis is always going to be the sooner you can kind of get policies in place so you know what the playing field is going to look like. That's going to reduce risk for people, and that's ultimately what will cause companies to start reinvesting, engaging, putting money into capital and growing the economy again. So hopefully, we'll have a chance to kind of digest the specifics of this, but ultimately it's about getting something done and getting some certainty around these things. And I think that starts to be a good thing for the economy.
Well, it sounds like we're gearing up for an almighty battle to actually get this done. It was done, and now it's going to be undone and redone. So that can't be good for business if certainty is the principle that you operate on.
Well, it depends on where we wind up with all this, but at the end of the day, this is a big issue. It's one that's got a lot of emotion around it. It's obviously critical for people in the country. So this isn't going to be something that's going to happen, really fast, because you've got to make sure that you get it right. And then hopefully that means that we settle in and we've now got a policy that is going to work for a long time for us. Because at some point the change is a bit of a problem when you've got some uncertainty around it.
Are you raising wages, and might you need to raise wages more if indeed there is more of a clampdown on immigration?
Well, I think the biggest opportunity we right now have in the U.S. from an economic standpoint is workforce participation rate. So while the unemployment level is relatively low right now in the U.S., below 5%, you've still got a couple of percent of people fewer participating in the workforce than you did, 6, 8, 10 years ago. So, that means probably, 4, 5, 6 million people who are on the sidelines that are not in the workforce. And from a wage perspective, we have been seeing some pressure on wages, and I think that's a good thing. Ultimately, if the economy is strong enough that it is
Sure.
Causing you to ultimately need to raise wages to staff our stores, to give great service, it's a good thing.
No,
we have. Oh, absolutely. We've taken some increases, and that's a good thing. I mean, that actually means things are working when you've got a full enough employment level. So I think the important thing is, are we going to put policies in place that are going to get the workforce participation rate up? Are we going to give opportunities to people that haven't been working over a long period of time and have dropped out of the workforce?
Interestingly, Domino's is 97% franchise owned, and most of your franchisees started in another capacity, maybe as a driver or a delivery person. So that's something I'm sure that you're very proud of. Expansion plans for this year, will there be more franchises at the end of the year?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're growing our base. And as you said, over 90% of our franchisees started as hourly workers in the stores. We're kind of this extraordinary little entrepreneurial factory. So people come in, they like the business, they get good at it, they manage a store, and then they ultimately, raise their hand and say, I'd like to buy one of these stores and build their own business. So we're absolutely growing.
A couple of quick fire questions in, because we're running out of time, Mr. Doyle. Commodities prices, things like cheese and so forth, do you anticipate that they'll go up this year, and will that pressure margins?
Yeah, cheese is up a little bit, but overall the commodity environment's pretty benign. I mean, we're looking at kind of flat to maybe slightly up on commodities this year, but the food cost environment's pretty positive for us.
I also want to ask you about potential acquisitions or M&A, or even being acquired perhaps. We saw the Burger King Popeyes deal in the last few weeks, and there's a lot of interest in this area. How are you thinking about M&A?
You know what? We are a one-brand company. We think focus makes a lot of sense. We've had terrific results over the course of the last decade or so, and generated a lot of value for our shareholders by sticking to our knitting. For us, that means focusing on pizza, and we still only have about a 15 share of pizza in the U.S. and a single-digit share of pizza outside of the U.S. And so there's a lot of room for us to grow our existing business without having to think about the idea of adding other brands to it. You
have a large same-store sale increase, so congratulations on that. How sustainable is it? I know technology is one area where you're really beating the pack. Can you continue to keep beating the pack in technology?
Well, we certainly hope so. We've been investing in order to make sure that we do that. Technology has been a big part of it. Getting our food right was critically important, and frankly, those same franchisees we were talking about have been executing at a very high level in our stores, and we've been re-imaging all of our stores. We'll be done with that at the end of the year. So there are a lot of things that are going into driving the results that we've had, but technology, we've been investing to make sure that we maintain our lead.